米番組 MLB トゥナイトではアメリカンリーグとナショナルリーグのオールスター投票の現在の最新情報を伝えました。司会を務めるクルー氏が先日米球界を揺るがした大物トレードで話題となったリバース選手がナショナルリーグに移ってきたことについて言及。クルー氏はトレードでナリーグに移籍したのが彼にとって痛い。なぜならあの大谷が DH 部門の票を独占するだけじゃなく全体でも最多得票になる可能性が高いですからね。とメジャーの大物も大谷選手には太刀打ちできないとコメント。また日本時間6月19日米番組 MLB トゥナイトでは2025年にビッグネームが集まってきたナショナルリーグ西地区と2000年代初頭のアメリカンリーグ東地区の伝説の2つの地区が対戦したらどちらが勝利するかを考察しました。ここからはその様子を見ていきます。
Will Rafi Devers be an All-Star for a fourth year? Time now for the MLB Pro Spirit All-Star ballot update. We'll start in the junior circuit. Mike Trout's been to a bunch of them. Some very good candidates here. I like the fact that Green's getting a lot of love in center field. Anybody pop off this board for you, Dan, as being interesting?
You know what? Riley Green.
Yep.
You know what? The Tigers playing in the Midwest, they don't play on a lot of national games. Maybe this will be his coming out party. People will see what a good player he is.
How about Jacob Wilson getting love over Bobby Witt Jr. and Gunnar Henderson?
And you called it. And you liked him coming out of college.
Loved him.
He has just turned out to be a terrific player.
And how interesting is it that Ryan O'Hearn is the leading vote getter at DH? Not that he doesn't deserve it, but that's where Rafi Devers would have been.
Yeah, he might fall right into something there.
So what happens to Devers? His votes just transfer into the National League, where he is a long shot second place to Shohei Ohtani at DH.
Yeah, the trade is going to hinder him making the All-Star team because that guy Ohtani, he's going not only win the DH, but he'll probably be the leading vote getter. So I don't know if Rafi will make that squad, but he's going to give it a try.
4 Dodgers on that group, 2 Cubs. I mean, it's a lot of the blue bloods, the big markets represented in the National League.
Yeah,
right
it
now.
is. And I tell you what, there are some really good teams in the National League right now.
Yeah.
Too.
Let's talk about Devers a little bit. This is interesting because, look, he would have been the starting DH most likely if he'd stayed in the American League. He's now a Giant. His vote total goes to his National League votes now, but he's not going to catch Shohei Ohtani. So for him to make his 4th All-Star game, he's going to have to be named as a reserve, which there's still very much a chance that that can happen.
It could happen. The likelihood of it probably isn't nearly as good, obviously, as being voted in. But if you look at the designated hitter in the NL side, outside of Ohtani, there's no question. If he were the entire season in the National League up to this point, he would be number 2 in the NL DH.
Yeah, and you got a much stronger field of DHs in the National League with Seiya Suzuki, with Schwarber, and here's how the vote looks now. It's Devers, who all those Boston votes transferred. You know, I don't know, maybe Boston fans are so activated.
Yeah, they might be mad and say, I'm voting for Devers.
Yeah,
right?
and he'll get San Francisco votes too because he's their new toy. Somewhere in there between Ohtani and Devers, that's the right answer.
That's where it's going to be.
How do you not have Seiya Suzuki going as a backup?
Well, I'd say he has had a really good season. The Cubs are a good team, too.
You can fill out your 2025 MLB Pro Spirit All-Star ballot now at MLB.com/vote.
I love the fact that attitude plays a significant role even at that level. That Mookie, in that interview we were talking about earlier, it was Harold and the 3 superstars, the 1, 2, 3, and Mookie was open to anything.
Right.
And you think about how decorated his resume is, and perhaps that's intertwined.
Yeah, I think with Mook, every player's situation is very different. You think of Aaron Judge in New York. He really wanted to play center field, so he's a guy who moved over to center field. Mookie Betts, he's naturally an infielder, so he always wanted to move to the infield, even when he was in Boston. But you have, Bogarts and Dustin Pedroia over there. Hey, you're not going to be at shortstop or second base. You got to go to the outfield if you want to be in the big leagues. Then he got the opportunity in L.A., and he ran with it. So it's just very different when you have a player who really wants to move positions as opposed to a player who is really happy in his position and really wants to build his legacy at that spot.
The best part of our position working here is we sit minus the buffalo wings. There's like all the screens that you would find at a sports bar, and we just sit and talk about things. And this guy came up with a great parallel. What was the AL East, the AL Beast, and all those superstars in the early 2000s? You now look at the star power in the NL West. Good parallel you came up with.
I came up as an Arizona Diamondback. So I came up in the NL West, and at the time, every player that I talked to in their American League would be like, "Oh, you're in the minor leagues. Oh, you're in AAA. That's AAA ball. That's not the real league." Or anytime you would talk about a player, you would say, "Yeah, he does this in this league, but if a pitcher goes to the AL East, it's going to add a whole run to his earned run average. Or if you can hit in the AL East, you can go anywhere." And that's why they would always interchange players from the AL East. But now you're starting to see this trend to where the NL West is probably, arguably, the most competitive division in baseball now, especially after you take Rafael Devers and you move him over to the San Francisco Giants. You start to look at these rosters, and you're so used to seeing the household names in the AL East. Now a lot of those household names are now moving to the NL West, to where you go team by team. The Los Angeles Dodgers, top to bottom, household names. The San Diego Padres, top to bottom. Now the San Francisco Giants have a face of the team in Rafael Devers. And I started thinking, let's try to build an all-star team. It's all-star ballot time. Let's build an all-star team of, if you just took players solely from the NL West just this year, you start to see some guys who came from the AL East. You start to see Mookie Betts, Manny Machado, but it's young players, Jackson Merrill, Corbin Carroll. Yamamoto's going to start the game for me. But top to bottom, you could argue that this NL West is the best all-star team that you could build from any other division in baseball right now. So I had to go back to, what was the old AL East? What is the AL East? In my mind, when I think of the AL East, who are the guys that really stand out to me in those household names? So don't bite my head off for this, fans, because there's a lot of people who did not make the list. So I'm going to go ahead and say that from the jump. But from the early 2000s, I mean, you got some dudes. These are dudes now that maybe they would be in the NL West now. But in the old AL East, Gary Sheffield, Manny, Jeter, people are going to come at me because they're going to want Miguel Tejada probably at shortstop.
Settle down.
I'm going with Derek Jeter all day.
Number 2.
Alex Rodriguez at third base, David Ortiz at DH, Pedro on the mound. When I put this head to head, I'm putting my money on the best of the 2000s AL East.
And to your point about the depth of the NL West, Devers doesn't make the group because of that Shohei Ohtani guy at DH.
And I don't want no smoke on that either. But it's Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani made the DH, but that does speak to the strength of the division, to where you can have a player of the caliber of Rafael Devers move over to the NL West, and it still be somebody on his level that's within the division that when you go to a game, you have a superstar to watch every single night when you go to the game in the NL West. And we didn't even hit too much up on the Diamondbacks other than Carroll, but you had Corbin Burns over there who ends up being injured right now. Ketel Marte, top to bottom, you have 4 teams playing over 500 baseball, extremely competitive division. It could literally go in any direction, to where the Padres felt like we only have to worry about the Dodgers. If we can beat the Dodgers, we can win the division. And then you see the Giants bring over Rafael Devers, and now all of a sudden it's like, man, we got to step our game up. Trade deadline comes around. Now we got to make moves. Offseason comes around. Everybody's going to be looking in the NL West to see who's going to make the biggest moves. This is the way we used to look at the AL East, as far as you got to spend money to be competitive, and you got to have the big-name players, and the NL West is starting to do that right now.
いかがでしたでしょうか。このチャンネルでは日本人メジャーリーガーなどを中心に野球情報をお届けしています。この動画が良かったら高評価、チャンネル登録をよろしくお願いいたします。今回も最後までご覧いただきありがとうございました。それではまた次の動画でお会いしましょう。